Hello everyone, Sunrek here. So in this video I'll be telling you actually how to play Mount Ayaka. Now many of you know me, I am not a huge fan of making Ayaka play in the Mount comp, my main argument being that her multiplier rates for her charge attack and her auto attack is not high enough to play Mount. And I believe this argument still stands. However, recently I did find a way to make Ayaka play Mount, and the inspiration came from the Chinese national team. If you aren't aware, the Chinese national team is basically a team consisting of, let me just change it real quick. It's basically a team consisting of Shanling, Xingqiu, Changyun, and Bennett. Now, the good reason for this team is because this team basically has no main DPS. Everyone here is capable of main DPS, and because Changyun applies cryo damage on all of them, Changyu allows all of them to do cryo damage. So this comp is essentially built around melt and vaporize at the same time, and you don't really care about the damage multipliers because you're triggering all three: melt, vaporize, and freeze so often. And on top of that, Changyu does shatter with freeze. So with all of that added together, this is actually a very nice team in the abyss. So Matt present to you the Ayaka version of this. So all we have to do is we take out Xingqiu, and instead we do Ayaka, Shanling, Bennett, and the first one is Diona. Now the reason Xingqiu has to get taken out is because Ayaka's 80 energy cost. So we still need Diona there for charging purposes, and on top of that you notice that Shanling and Bennett are both pyro characters, which means Bennett is mostly here for Shanling's charging purposes. This comp works similar to the Chinese national team where you do not have an actual main DPS. So Ayaka and Shanling is here for Q spamming, Diona and Bennett is for charging up their Q. On top of that, Bennett and Diona both covers the healing, so you will be pretty much covered with healing. And if you manage to get the sacrificial bow on Diona, then you can also look at pretty much shield coverage the whole time. So the actual weapon for this team is going to be a little bit more interesting. For Ayaka, of course, you can still wear the 4-piece Blizzard Strayer, but it is no longer recommended. The best piece at this point is probably 2-piece Blizzard Strayer and 2-piece Noblesse Oblige for maximum damage on her ult. Now, of course, I do not have the set actually built, so I'll still go with 4-piece Blizzard Strayer. Contradictory here, you do not need a very expensive weapon. The one you actually need here is the Sacrificial Sword. Let me explain. This allows her to cast her E, which allows her to charge more. Now, of course, because no DPS here, you're not really doing much damage with her other than her Q and her E. So you don't really care about the damage there, and not having that is okay. And as for Shanling, you want again an energy recharge lance or energy recharge polearm because you are looking into the energy recharge and you need 80 for her cost. As for her artifacts here, I will swap to Diluc's main artifacts, which is basically a DPS pyro DPS build. So this would also help a lot with her damage. Now, of course, if you are confident, you can trigger her elemental reactions very consistently in the correct way. And of course, I don't know, because I will be just basically spamming the keyboard with this comp. But if you're able to get that very consistently, what you can do is you can wear, I believe, EM Goblet instead and focus on that route where you're basically using Ayaka as an enabler and Shenling to trigger all the melt on top of that. But personally for me, I will go with this step because I am not very confident on my abilities to do that correctly. And as for Bennett, 4-piece Noblesse Oblige is no longer the best option. You actually want either the new energy recharge set, which gives you more energy recharge, or you actually want a 4-piece set. I believe the one you want is either the Exile or the Scholar. You basically don't care about Bennett's artifacts here. He isn't really there for damage. He is only there to keep up Shanling's energy particles. And for Diona, 4-piece Noblesse Oblige is still okay. I only have Vonius Warbow, so I'll go with this. But if you have Sacrificial Bow leveled up, mine isn't, even though mine is supposedly R1. But if you have this leveled up, definitely use this because this gives you more shield coverage. So I actually haven't played this team comp yet, but I have seen a similar video in Chinese about this team comp. And also, I mean, while I was clearing Storm Terror this morning, I kind of had the idea. Because what was happening was while I was clearing Storm Terror this morning, because Storm Terror can be frozen, that's obvious. So instead, I went with Ayaka, Ganyu, and Shanling, and that basically killed Storm Terror like in about half a cycle. So That's the idea I normally have with this team comp, because personally for me, my characters are not very built. Normally it takes me about 1.5 cycle to kill Storm Terrors. So I will just be testing this team comp out on the Giant Dragon that Klee recently murdered on her birthday, so we're going to do the same thing on that. Shenling's E is almost charged up. Guoba is going to be very good because Favonian Slants, the energy particles she give, is going to be the universal one, so it will not only be charging Shenling's Q first, and it will also be charging Ayaka's Q. Now, another thing to know for this comp, because both of their Qs are off, you do want to cast both of their Qs at the same time. So for me personally, I'm going to actually wait for Shenling's Q to come out before I cast it. Before I cast Ayaka's Q. Now, of course, this one is Pyro damage bonus. This one is Pyro here, so we won't be doing too much damage, but it's good to take a test here. So this is just capable of very fast deleting. Again, I am not very advanced with this comp yet. So basically this comp's main damage comes from the fact that you are using the Ayaka's E in combination with Shenling's Q, Ayaka's Q in combination with Shenling's Q, but again, this could potentially be a very good team comp once you get used to it, but again, for practicing reasons, this comp is going to be very hard because you're basically smashing the keyboard the whole time. So that's all I have for you today. That's a team comp I would recommend if you want to play Ayaka actually melt, and as I have said before, this is not a team comp at its full potential because personally for me, this is not her best artifacts. You would actually be going 2P Split Destroyer just for the crowd damage bonus, and you would be going 2P Snow Bliss here for the 20% damage on her ult, because once that happens, her damage is around the same whether you do a Sacrificial Sword or a 5-star sword here. Sacrificial Sword here is used for more energy recharge on Ayaka. For Shenling, definitely use either this or Prototype Glitter would work as well. Basically anything that has energy recharge is good. For Bennett, again, I don't have the correct artifact set on. I'm supposed to have more energy recharge here. And for Diona, this is probably also... This is okay artifact set for Diona, but I do not have the correct bow on. So that's all I have for you today. Hopefully this would help some of you guys solve the problem if you're trying to build a melt Ayaka. And there's a big advantage of this comp is that even though it uses Bennett, however, it doesn't really use the universal person that everyone wants, which is Xingqiu. So without that, it allows you to do quite a bit more damage without everyone having to use Xingqiu. So this is a comp that you can potentially work as your second comp in the Abyss, because Bennett and Xingqiu are normally split up anyways. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you very much for watching. If you like the content, please consider subscribing. Thank you and have a nice day.